Have you gotten a chance to see last night's pod where we talked about Matt Walsh? And we talked about Matt Walsh and slavery. And we talked about Matt Walsh and slavery and what he had to say about being thankful to the past and not regretting it, because if it wasn't for the past, he would not be here celebrating such a great life. And I remember saying that if I got an opportunity to see Matt Walsh in person, I'm going to flip him the bird. I'm going to flip Matt Walsh the bird. You know, I thought about the show and I listened to the show. That's last night's pod. And I have to say that I'm disappointed that I didn't truly get my point across. And I think what happened was, I think that Ulrich was trying to stifle me from speaking because it can come across as crazy land. But we here at the Big Elvis the Chef Rosenberg channel knows that this is how I started my channel. I started the channel every night talking like this, and we always went to crazy land. We always went with the objective perspective on our reality in itself. On reality itself, we went through that. And I have to tell you, Matt Walsh says that he doesn't think that he would be here. He doesn't think so. He thinks that if we were to abolish slavery, then he wouldn't exist. His whole existence would just end. He would be, and I have to tell you, I think that we were talking, and Ulrich mentioned, do we want to be martyrs? Are we looking to be martyrs and like give up our lives so that these so-called bad things just never happen? And I would argue that I don't have to give up my life. If we get rid of all these horrible things that's happened in our past, and the timeline is allowed to reset itself, so to speak. Like when you're driving and you have your GPS, and that GPS, just makes all the calculations, and it tells you how far now it's going to take for you to go this way, and how far is it going to take for you to go that way. And that rerouting, so to speak, he fears that in the rerouting of himself, of his life, if we take away slavery and what his ancestors had to do that he's okay with, then it would be like he doesn't believe he would be here. And I would argue that he would be here, and I would be here, and Ulrich and Daniel would be here. We would all still be here. And to fear that you not being here isn't enough to say, let's end some of this. If you have that power, I mean, we're talking hypothetical here, right? We're going to hypothetically get rid of all slavery worldwide. It never existed, and we never used it. We never did that. Then what is your true fear? The selfish fear of just, I'm not going to be able to drive my Rolls Royce any longer. I'm not going to be able to, eat the finest caviar. Or is it just the guy who's not going to be able to play Xbox and eat his cheese doodles? Those are two different spectrums. Those are too far in between people that might feel the same exact way. Thankful that the past happened, because the past happening is allowing them to have this existence now. I would argue that I would still be here. I would argue that I would be in a greater place. So, all these deaths that people experience because of all the slavery and the war and all these bad things that's happened, all that stuff doesn't mean anything. Like, what are you saying? You're saying that we needed to have X amount of horrible things happen so that I can land on my feet? What? I mean, it's so selfish. And I don't look at myself as a martyr for wanting to say that, because I think I would still be here. What would the timeline be like? I don't know. But I was trying to say we might figure out where we are. See, slavery is a great way to distract the whole group of people. Just like wars are a great way to distract a bunch of people. Wars are, it's like, just imagine, your children are out there fighting a war in a foreign land. And how's your day to day, mom and dad? How's your day to day holding up? You always worrying about that person showing up to your door with the American flag? You're not thinking about anything other than what that's going on in your life. That will take over your life, just like slavery. And from the owner's perspective, their lives are being taken over by this lifestyle of having to take care of adults and having to rule over them in a way where they're going to believe that they maybe even need you. And they created all these books on how to break the human spirit and the mind and all that kind of stuff. And it's like there was so much strategy involved in having this group of people, which were human beings, and how to keep them so subservient that even when the slavery doesn't exist. I was listening to what's this guy, Thurgood Marshall. No, not Thurgood Washington. Something Washington. Booker T. Yeah, Booker T. Washington. And Booker T. Washington was talking about how uh, so many of the slaves were like terrified to leave their masters and were like in love with their situation, and how they were just like, crying and, just horrified about having to leave this life that they've known for like, 200 years. Come on. People are willing to die for what their life has been for the last 25, 30 years. Just imagine if you can write down and your lineage, who you are, or at least who you've been, and your parents been, and your grandparents been for so many decades and decades and decades and decades and decades and decades, and 260, 70 years go by, and it's like, it's a huge distraction. It's massive amounts of stress for the times. And then today's an interesting day. Let me see. Well, I guess yesterday now. Yesterday was an interesting day in 1712. That's April 5th, 1712. There was this revolt here in New York City, down in Wall Street, where the slaves got together and they burned down the outhouse. It was a pretty huge outhouse, too. It was a place to go to do your business. And it wasn't like a one-seater. It was a bunch, it was room for more than one. And The white men that had the fire departments were running to go fight this fire because they burnt down the. It was a setup though. They were waiting. They were lying in wait, and they were even some riding with the um the firemen, so to speak. And they got into a huge gun battle, and they killed about 9 whites were killed, and about 6 were injured, gunshots. And they actually, was interesting is that here in New York in the 1700s, Canal Street was a swamp. That whole area there was all swampland from. So that means that they ran from Wall Street up to Canal Street, which was only about 2 miles. And that Canal Street area was just full of nothing but swamp. And they were like trying to hide in the swamp. And of course, the whites got together and they grabbed, what's the Second Amendment? What is that? A well-armed militia. So that's what they grabbed, and that's how they worded. A well-armed militias came out, and the well-armed militias came out, and they found these men on Canal Street that were hiding in the swamps. So when you go to Canal Street here in New York City in Manhattan, well, I'm in Brooklyn at the moment, but if you're in Canal Street, you go to Canal Street and you're gonna find all the Louis Vuitton bags that you can buy, all fake, all this. But there was a group of men that were there in that swamp area, and they they fought. They held court in that swamp with whatever ammunition they had left from the original shooting and killing, where they just had enough. And that was the same time that later on that year they passed these laws where you couldn't have more than like 3 black people congregating together. And it was one of the, also another law that was written was that a black man couldn't have a gun, because a lot of black men in the 1700s did have guns because they were working for certain jobs that they needed to have guns, especially the ones that were moving the animals around. And there was ones that were doing a lot of security off the rivers and stuff like that. There was tons and tons of security, and the black man was used to do security and lay you down if you got caught stealing, kind of a thing, And I find it interesting how, for us not to think that these things were not distractions of their time. They were their distractions of their time. They were like, people were like, the newspapers, they were doing all the artistry because they didn't have any cameras. Or if they did have cameras, they weren't utilizing the cameras the way they did, like, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years later, where it was about like everywhere you went, there was cameras and there was news. But what they did was they had to draw all the hanging men in the swamp that they put out there. And you can see the artwork to this day, the artwork of that time to describe what was happening. So people were terrified of the black man and his ability to, like Kanye West said, it was a choice. So knowing that there's this choice that you have, the Bible talks all about everything is a choice, like when Jesus was tempted to curse God, and Job was tempted to curse God, and Samson, he was tempted to curse God, and Jonah, all these people in the Bible, Jonah was the guy who was in the whale's mouth, and they didn't lose faith, so they were able to make it to the next chapter, or the next checkpoint, so to speak. They were able to ascend to another level in belief and faith and all these different things, right? And I would not say that I agree with Kanye West that slavery was a choice, but my point is that it was pushed to the people to believe that they do have a choice to kill your ass. And given the right choice, they will. Given the opportunity, they will, to be able to talk to each other and congregate, they will take your life. And they even were passing these laws then too, where you were allowed to beat your slave to the point of death, because there was like a lot of things with banks. Banks were so involved in that whole slave trade time, and these banks were like, yo, man, you can't, you owe us still for that property that you got there, and we expect every month to have a payment. So you were only allowed to, take, you weren't allowed to kill your slave necessarily, because especially if you owed on the slave, but you can beat them to the point of almost death. Like, this is in writing. So 1712, on the 5th of April in 1712, it was on and popping in New York City, in the financial district, all the way up to the swamps of Canal Street, Chinatown, which wasn't Chinatown at the time. Um, and I just wanted to say that Matt Walsh needs to think about that he would still be here. And possibly we would know the truth about our existence if we didn't have all these distractions. All these distractions are leading us to just nowhere. Like, you see what's going on with Ukraine and Russia, Poland, the Black Sea, China, India, the dollar, the crashing of the dollar, and all these different things. The guy who did crypto, he was just killed with a knife recently, a couple of days ago. I think his last name is like Lee, and he's the guy who started Cash App. And speaking of Cash App, my Cash App is $Elvis Rosenberg, one word. ELVISROSENBERG, $, Elvis Rosenberg. And it's just that, last night I didn't get, it's not easy to do a show. First of all, we're standing up. Okay, so it's difficult to look at the camera, so we're constantly turning. I have to make sure everyone is facing the camera more. And when I started to talk about the dome, we have to understand that I'm not a believer that we're under a dome. I have that belief system. I do not have. I don't believe that the earth is flat, like we're on a flat plane. No, I'm not a believer of that. I'm not a believer in Antarctica surrounds us, and there's a huge wall that surrounds all of us. And what we're calling Antarctica is actually just another place with much more, probably much more continents, humanoids, people living on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. Because if you listen to that pilot, like when you first start to wake up and you first start to, look for truth, and you're starting to question the world, you're in your 40s or you're in your late 30s and things, and you're realizing that your worldview is changing a little bit, or you're starting to, like, you look at, you heard about Rumble, or maybe you heard something on one of these platforms. There's so many platforms out there, and yet, this, you're wanting to know what's going on, and then you bump into Colonel Byrd. I think that was his name, Robert Byrd. And you find out that there was this pilot, And this pilot did all these interviews back in the day, and you start to say, whoa, this pilot is basically saying that the planes were smacking into something and they couldn't fly past a certain distance. And you find out that they were able to find land on the other side of, the other side of the Antarctic. So I'm not a believer in that neither. A lot of those interviews with him look very staged. And is there any proof that that even aired? That's just more stock footage that they release to have us, they know that when a person hits a certain age, they're going to start questioning their reality, and they're going to start it's like when a woman's biological clock is ticking. She wants that baby and she's 25, 26 years old. Mind you, she's been having her period since she's 11, so she's a little late on having a child if she's now 28, 29, 30. That biological clock is ticking, and she's like, yo, I need to get married. I need to have a family. Now she's 32 years old. She's like, yo, what the hell? Men go through that too, but differently. Our biological clock ticks, and we start to wonder, is this it for us as far as money making and success? And are we able to make more money? And are we going to be more successful? Will we get more blowjobs and better drop tops? And you start to take stock in who you are and what you represent. And if you not going to college, or if you not taking certain things serious enough, is going to lead you to where you ultimate fantasy in your mind could be. And then, the internet has helped men like that find different things, like I was just saying, and you start questioning your worldview and your existence, and you start wondering what's going on. And I just wanted to say, I don't believe that well, let me just say what I normally say. It's a spiel that I have. I haven't said it in a while, but and it grabs a lot of attention. And I have to tell you, this is not my own stuff here. This is something that I am paraphrasing and adding my sauce to it, but I never really gave the proper credit that it was deserved. And it's Matt from Quantum of Conscience. Matt from Quantum of Conscience many years ago said something that really stuck out with me. I just added a little bit to it, but it was never mine. It was something, I have to remember to give credit when credit is due, and not try to act like I'm saying something that's all me generated, when it's not true. It's influence generated by everyone around us. We're all coming up with different things and ideas, and we're utilizing all the people around us. And what I would say is that I do not believe that the earth is flat, round. Oh, no. I believe that, wait. Oh, no. Okay. I got it. Wow, it's been a while since I've said this. And that's that I believe that the earth, you see, you start off saying, I believe the earth is round. I believe the earth is round. Soon as you say you believe the earth is round, that's when everybody goes, he's not crazy. Right? And then you flip it real quick, and then you'll say something like, I believe the earth is round, and I also believe that the earth is hollow, because there's a huge thing about hollow earth. And if you do the research on hollow earth, you will find out, like, oh my God, the earth is hollow. There is some sort of other earth. And they've even made movies with like Brandon Fraser and stuff like that about hollow earth. And I think even The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson has done some hollow earth-esque movies. And you start thinking, am I just repeating a movie that I saw in my head? But if you do research on it, it will kind of blow your mind that there is such a thing as like a hollow earth. And then there's another one called inner earth. So I would say I believe that the earth is round, hollow, inner. Then you throw in flat, right? Because you got their attention now. And you say flat, and then you say octagon, right? So you believe the earth is round, inner, hollow, flat, octagon. Then you throw in concave, a concave earth, and you say all at the same time. And that gets them. That right there grabs them. You tell them all at the same time. I believe the earth is round, inner, hollow, flat, concave, and octagon all at the same time. I mean, you will have the people's attention. They're going to be like, who the hell is this guy? Because there's something for everyone in this reality. And one thing's for sure, they are trading on fear like a commodity in this reality. This reality is pushing fear like you have no idea. Like you just, everyone is terrified. We're afraid of the cops, right? We're afraid of not being able to pay our rent. We're afraid of getting fired from our job. We're afraid that our children are not going to love and respect us. We are afraid that the new car that we got is not going to work, or the old car we have is not going to work. We're afraid. We're terrified of so many different things. And that right there is what stops us from living our true potential. So when Matt Walsh says things like he's glad that his family made the decisions and made the moves that they had to make when they made them, because or else he wouldn't be here, I would argue, sir, you would still be here. It would just be in a different reality, a different existence. You know why you'll still be here, sir? Because you never left. You never left. You're only remembering your selfish self that you are in your existence in this reality, in this Me Too right now. But if the earth is round, concave, inner, hollow, flat, octagon, all at the same time, sir, you will still be here. You'll be fine. Let's get rid of the slavery. Let's get rid of the war. It's not worth it. Because without these things, we as a humanity will figure out what the hell is this that we're in? What are we in? Let's all get together and let's just get out of here. We're not going to let the few people dictate to us what our reality is. We're not going to do it. We're not going to accept it as a people because we're not worrying about our children dying at wars. We're not going to do it because we're not worried about how am I going to pay my rent, so to speak. Someone's going to argue, so you don't think anybody should be able to pay rent? No, stop it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there'll be a different business that a person will want to be in. We do not need evil and greed and drama and chaos to be sane, because this reality has proven that all our friends are on lithium. All our friends need Ritalin just to freaking, is it Ritalin? It's not Ritalin. All our friends need, what is that? And it's blue. It's a small little blue pill. And not Viagra. Because all our friends are on lithium. That's a fact. And not only are they on lithium, but all of us, you, me, and everyone we know, needs that little blue pill so that we can focus to get things done. Because it's possible our reality is moving so fast that what seems like on the calendar to be 2-3 years is probably only a year and a half. But we're not going to go there because that's crazy land, and we're going to take crazy one step at a time. So if we didn't get rid of it, we would be all right. And I'll be right here talking to you. The car might look different. I might even look different, but it's still going to be me because I've never left this reality. Never. Let me say hi to you good people here. Ricardo Emmanuel, salute to you as well. Payoff Pete, salute to you. Facts, no cap. Arms, fake. Thank you, Playoff Pete. T. Riddler, how are you, my friend? Greetings, chef. We up. Yes, I am up. Payoff Pete. Are you a subscriber? Payoff Pete? God knows I need them. I only got 8 last month. 28 days, 8 new subscribers. But what's interesting is that, yes, I had only 8 new subscribers, but there was 23,000 minutes viewed on my channel. 23,000 minutes. 23,000 minutes is a lot of time. And then the views were, I can't remember what the views were. But, hey, it is what it is. It'll happen when it happens. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing that grossed out thing I do in the mornings with the coal in the eye. I'm not going to stop it. I'm not going to stop at least. I'm doing 100 minimum of just those. When I wake up, coal in my eye, and I just start spitting for a minute. I suspect you are being shadow banned due to the incongruencies of your content matter. Incongruencies of your content matter. Yeah, I just think that I think what happened was that when I first started to do YouTube, I was doing a lot of like what I'm doing right now. I was trying to wake people up to the reality that we're in and how possibly it's not true. So, that channel, no matter what I do with it, it's still going to be difficult for me to push past certain others because the algorithm is like, we know what you're up to. We know what you're trying to do. And I think Ulrich was hearing me yesterday when I was like, yo, maybe if there was no slavery, we get out of here, get and figure out where we're in. And then he was like, you know how he does. He just like, because he knows how I am. He knows that's my default. I'm going to always fall back in that, our reality is very, very fluid. And that, let me see what else he has to say. I found you through Yvette Carnell when you used to call in Breaking Brown. Yo, I used to love to call that show. She stopped picking up my calls. Yvette Carnell stopped picking up my calls right around COVID time. She didn't want to hear what I had to say anymore. And I was hitting her off. I was giving Yvette Carnell like $5 a day for a couple of months. She never once said thank you. Never gave me a heart on that. And then every time I was on the show, I was hitting her off with, whenever she did a show twice a week. I was giving her anything between $10 and $50 per episode. She never once said thank you. This is just not her style. I didn't take it too personal, but the few times that I called literally got hung up on. Like around that COVID time, I had left a call. On Yvette's show. I sent an email to the editor at Breaking Brown that, this is Big Officer Chef Rosenberg. I'm on the line. And of course, I left a nice, Cash App, $20, $30. and even super chat like another, between $20 and $50. I was giving her every week for about a year or two, and she just was like, she didn't want, she was just so hardcore with this COVID thing that it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Even though I still watch, I just watched it the other day, me and wifey. It's not like we used to though. I used to sit the family down and make them listen. Oh, my father, I used to be like, no, 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 you're gonna stop and you're gonna listen to Yvette. And I had my father listen to so much of her stuff. And it didn't change anything. He's still a bootstrapper. Nothing I could do to change him. But that's how these boomers are. These boomers were given massive opportunities to try to do something for the people, and they were like, just give me mine. Just give me mine. You gonna give me a loan? All right, great. So yeah, I appreciate you, T Rilla. I remember you from her chat and all that kind of stuff. But she stopped. I mean, literally, I would call the show, and it would just be like click. It should. I mean, it happened like 5 times, and I'm listening to her still taking calls. So she obviously saw my number and just clicked me. I'm coming at it from a different angle. I'm coming at it from I still believe in her though. I didn't like what happened when she came back though after the Tariq Nasheed, because I was there that episode when the woman called in and said that they took her kids. She said, they took my kids. And she was like, what? They took your kids? She says, yeah, man. Tariq Nasheed and his people they called up Child Protective Services and they took my children. And then she went away for about 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months. And I mean, arguably went away. Of course, she started her website and she started to do something else. But the point I'm making. And when she came back, I was the first one to drop that $50 super chat. Boom! As soon as she started her show, when she came back. And then about 5 minutes later, boom, dropped another 50. I dropped 250s just to get the juices flowing. Yeah, you back, we with you. And then she said she didn't take no responsibility for why she was gone. She was like, yeah, computer chips is hard to get to. We found out they ran out of computer chips. Like she was like, oh, we were like, come on, this dude had you shook. This dude's people had you shook. And you had to take a little step back. And while she was gone, I always still hit her off. She never said thank you. I was giving her like $5 a day from the super chat. Not super chat, from the Cash App. Boom. Every day $5. Boom. Every day $5. Boom. Every day. Just to, let her know that we love her and we still here for her. And she never wouldn't even give a heart. Wouldn't even give a thumbs up. Nothing. No acknowledgement. I understand. It's a shame how she and Tone lost momentum due to the Tyreek debacle. Yeah, the Tyreek debacle. Yeah, man. Tyreek was pretty scary at those times. I wouldn't want to go up against Tariq Nasheed for nothing. Look what he did to this dude, Tariq Nasheed. Remember what he did to this guy who he owns the Weather Network. And he owns all these black shows, these old black shows and TV, and he was suing Comcast, and he was suing Charter, all these companies he was suing. And then he even sued Al Sharpton, which he pulled back from that suit. But Tariq Nasheed really destroyed that man's opportunity. And then the DOJ, Trump sent the DOJ to talk to the Congress Not talk to Congress, but talk to the Supreme Court. Gave them like 13 minutes to shut this man down. It was crazy. It's like I wouldn't want to go against him. I know there's one person right now who's going hard on Tyreek, and that's the Queen Ahmadiyya Shakur. Queen Ahmadiyya Shakur is going so hard on Tyreek Nasheed. I don't even really listen. It's too chatty patty for me. It's just too much drama for me. But she's not afraid. Oh, she is not scared, not even a little bit. And she calls him Bussy Reek. Not Tyreek. She calls him Bussy Reek. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, but that Matt Walsh thing hasn't set with me well this last 24 hours. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? You glad it happened because you here. What? You must not know about this reality you in, sir. You would have never left. You would still be here, sir. Your energy has not left this earth. I mean, there's powers that are trying to get your energy to leave this earth, arguably. There are powers out here that are called, like, easily described as evil. And there's evil out here trying to take out that spirit of yours, trying to have you as one of the soulless. When you come back, sir, you ain't coming back the same. I'm gonna tell you that much. You might end up like one of those I don't know. I don't want to say. I don't want to get canceled. But there is evil out there. And this evil has convinced us that it's convinced us that we're the evil ones. Because it's made us contemplate evil so many times that we have to be evil to some degree. And I disagree with that 100%. What's your thoughts on the Cash App guy getting deleted? Hit job or happenstance? There's no happenstance. There is no happenstance. There's nothing that he could have done to change what happened. That's a fact. That was today. That day was his day. That day was his day. You have one of the richest men in the world walking the streets, able to get stabbed. Was it a botched robbery, they say? Just like, why is this person walking without security? I used to be in the bar business and I went everywhere with a 380 in my pocket and security for 15 years. Every night, security made sure I got to my car. Every night, everywhere I went, to the bank, I always had somebody close by me, holding me down. And they didn't even walk with me. I never had security walk with me because I used to be a booster. When I was a kid, I boost for about maybe like 2 seasons, 2 or 3 seasons, and then I retired from that quickly. But while I was boosting, we used to all end up at the Diamond District back in the days here in New York City. And the Diamond District is known for the what is the market called? It's not a secondary market. It's called I guess black market. Is it black market? It's not black market, but fencing. It's known for fencing. So there was a time, I don't know if it still exists anymore. I mean, I was just a kid when that was going on. I was like 17, 18 years old. And after a day of boosting, you would go to the Diamond District right before it closed. And you would have all these people that worked in the Diamond District. They're just out there with a nice pocket full of cash, waiting to see what products were gonna come in. And you can have everything from 40 Revlon lipsticks to a mink coat. So it wasn't one particular thing. They were all fencing whatever you had. There was a market for it, and at the time they were doing a they were doing a they were doing like a half or a half. So if you brought in a product that was if you brought them a $2,000 fur, you can realistically say I need $1,000 and hold firm to the $1,000. If the tags say the 2,000 and it was legitimately like a really good decent fur, you weren't going to get people that was like trying to give you a third. You didn't have to worry about that. So that was kind of cool. Wait. You got the third and you sold it for, yeah. They would buy it for a third of whatever it was. So if you brought in a $2,000 coat, you wouldn't get the 1,000, you get the 500. But we're talking about instant, like they just bang, bang, they paid you real quick. So, I didn't do that very long. That wasn't my thing. And I actually was working with this woman who was like paying me to hold her bags more so than me involved in any of that. And once I saw all the metal detectors show up, I was like, I retired. I was like, this makes no sense for me to, be going through these things and the whole door is like ringing. This is before people were lining the bags with like aluminum foil to stop the alarms from going off, though. But before the alarms were going off, and these especially boutique style places, they didn't have alarms. And this woman, it was a 2-woman team, and I was their bag guy, so I would hold the bags for them, and they would pay me like over $100 a day. And this was like, I'm like, we're talking about 1989, 1988, 1989, 1990, 1991, something. I don't remember. Maybe let's say for argument's sake, 1989, 1990. And I would hold her back. I mean, we're talking about, when I say hold her bags, we're talking about like all my arms were full of bags going all the way. So like I'm like walking down the street, like just like a bag guy. And these women would just go into these stores and just, talk to her. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Let me try this. Let me try. And they were wearing girdles and they were just stuffing everything into girdles. It was just like crazy land. And then I'm walking around with these big, Word Off Goodman bags and Gap bags, and it was looking ridiculous out there. And they were strict too. I had to be on time. They didn't want to. If they told me stand right here, don't move, I better stood there and not move. If they say, listen, you go 2 blocks and then turn left, wait for us 15 minutes. Okay. I would do whatever they said to do, listen to what they said, and they always paid me $100. Maybe even 150 some days. It was like great days that they would always hook me up. And we're talking about long days. We're talking about, from 8 in the morning to like 5 o'clock in the evening, even to like 7 o'clock in the evening. We would have to go to the Bronx to certain spots where they had like Rite Aids. Was it Rite Aids? Well, there was pharmacies. She would sell Rite Aid products at the pharmacies, like all the hair and skincare and lipstick and all that stuff. she was selling all the products there. So if we couldn't get rid of it at the Diamond District, she had so many different spots that were just waiting for her to help stock their shelves. It was just really pretty pitiful, actually, um, how much shrinkage goes on. And it made me a better manager. I tell you, when I was managing a Foot Locker, I didn't play that shrinkage stuff. I saw things like that coming right away. And I was always good with fighting shrinkage because I always knew that everyone stole. I didn't look at just the black person that comes in. That was a joke to me. I used to look at the white all old people I knew steal, and I was looking at the white women, and the more and then of course I'm not trying to be funny, but gay guys. Gay guys right away you're thinking, boom, they're boosting. Pay attention. Watch the gay guys. They're boosting. And and the old ladies, there was always the old ladies taking all the white t-shirts. Come on, I want to stealing all my white t-shirts all the time. And it definitely boosting and stealing was never a black thing. I knew that. I learned that quickly working retail, managing a Foot Locker. Those were the days. I managed a Foot Locker in 2001, right after 9/11. I managed a Foot Locker for 6 months, 8 months, 8 months. That was pretty good. I was like the number one seller in the Northeast region. They praised me for a while. I wanted to give me my own store. What's shrinkage? Oh, like just stealing. Stealing is shrinkage. Stealing is shrinkage. Thank you for taking this opportunity to, hang out with me for a little while. New sub. Thank you. I appreciate that. That says Tony L. Yeah. Troy L. New sub. You have interesting convos. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. That's me, the guy with the interesting conversation. You are appreciated. T Rilla, day one. Everyone here on the channel from Troy L to T Rilla to Emmanuel, Miss Ruth, Rob Lowe, 2000, Rob Lowish, all you day oneers. Is New York worth moving to? It's a very broad conversation. I see someone wants to keep me on the line. Don't forget my Cash App is $ Elvis Rosenberg, one word. And that's BERG, not BURG. BERG, like Whoopi spells hers. Is New York worth moving to? It depends. If you're looking to go to a city that's completely empty, but they block off certain roads where it looks packed, just know that if you come to New York, you're coming to a stage. New York is a huge stage where, as you can see, no one drives by certain places. Other places, like Washington Heights, it's a zoo out there, nonstop. It's just crazy. And then other spots you go to, it's just this place is 15 minutes from here that is just lined with mansions. Amazing, amazing mansions. But yet you go on the news and all they do is talk bad about Brooklyn. You would think that Brooklyn is the most dangerous place you can ever go to. Like if you go to a local bodega, you're going to get shot. But it's not true. So many rich people. And you also think that all the houses are like in Staten Island, like where the real housewives in New Jersey live, houses like that, they have them all over Brooklyn. They're all over Brooklyn. Amazing structures they built here. Like there's so much money here. And then you go to Manhattan where you think all the money is. Like, gotta be a lot of money here. And you look up at all the buildings and they're empty. You look at these high structured buildings with like, 80 floors, and they're selling the apartments for like, $20 million, and they're all empty. There's only like 30 people in the whole building, and there's a room for like 3,000 people. But yet they keep building. Everywhere you turn, there's a new building, a new structure, taller and taller and taller and taller, and they're all empty. So if moving to New York, is it worth it? Depending on what you're gonna do, where you're gonna where who's your people? Because one thing you have to understand about New York is that there are it's very tribal. New York is full of tribalism. And when I say tribalism, I'm talking about New York is full of people that want to be with people that look like them. This is what I've always had a problem with. I look like no one in New York. You know, I can pass for a Hispanic sometimes, but no Hispanic will accept me. No Puerto Ricans. Sometimes the Dominicans might want to accept me, but the minute I'm just looking this way because I see someone walking and I'm just curious if they're going by my house. Here they go. Huh. They're just walking. They're probably going to us. I don't know. You don't see people walking around here too much. Let me see. I'm single guy for now, looking for a fresh start. No family, few friends, but I don't know if I would want to raise a family in a big city. Well, if you raise your family in this city, they're going to get some culture. That's for sure. They have a lot of museums here, a lot of food here, a lot of different people here. But just remember that the people here are very tribal. And if you're like a white guy, Troy, is there white Troys or black Troys? I know there was a Troy who had the Achilles heel thing going on. But if you are here's another thing. Right now there's so many people that are by the book in New York, so many liberals that they're gonna, if you rent an apartment from these people, your name will be public record. So if you got any like criminal activities and stuff like that, you're gonna have a hard time getting a place in New York. Then you're gonna have to cover 120 times the rent. You're going these buildings with all the amenities, like they have places in New York here, where they have bowling alleys in the buildings, pools in the buildings, dry cleaning, delis, bakeries, where you almost never have to leave the building. They have conference rooms and concierge rooms, and you can actually have meetings there. You can actually sign up for certain days and throw parties where they'll provide you with a 80-inch flat screen television. And it's all about how do you dress? How do you look? What group do you fit in? Most people will try to slide into that slot here in New York. Like there's a group of people that wear Vans, not Vans, Toms sneakers, those recyclable sneakers. So you're gonna have like a whole neighborhood full of people that wear these same exact sneakers. Then you have that Birkenstock crowd that wear the Birkenstock sneakers. Then you have that group of people that tuck in the polo short sleeve shirt. And then you have the group that don't tuck in the polo short sleeve shirt. And everyone is all grouped up. It's pretty, it's like high school in New York. It's like high school. And then you have this outrageous amount of people that wear like mom and dad jeans that make more money than the Kardashians. You got a lot of that. You got these people that are overly unattractively dressed and got more money than a king and a queen. And there's tons of that. Where they're purposely, you're like, why are you wearing these New Balance sneakers that are made for old men that walk the malls? And then you put on a pair of these Wrangler jeans that have the little hook on the side for the hammer. What? And you got a button-up shirt where the button, you have the button on the collar as well. And this is your, and every day this is your uniform, so to speak. But yet you're making $28 million a year, $50 million a year. And then of course you got the people that are wanting to be rich and look amazing and very fashionable, and they're in their section of the city. You know, there's all these little cliques everywhere you go. You have the guys that dress like motorcycle guys that, and then you have those people that are working for all the movies. There's so many movies that are being done here. So if you're a man and you're beta and you're into like happy wife, happy life, there's a whole world for you here, like in the movies and the grips and the sound guys and all the women, none of them wear bras and you can't look at their breasts. You have like a whole group of that. And then you have neighborhoods where every single person in the neighborhood is unattractive. Every single person in the neighborhood is unattractive. And then you have neighborhoods where every single person you bump into is freaking beautiful. You're like, whoa. How many hot women could be in one spot? How many hot men could be in one spot? How many beautiful people can be in one spot? So New York is full of all that. You got to just be honest with yourself. Are you a good-looking person? Are you successful? Then there's a neighborhood for you here. If you're unattractive and successful, there's a neighborhood for you here. I mean, they have neighborhoods in New York where everyone is ugly and everyone makes money in that neighborhood. No attractive people. None. None. But they all making over $100,000 a year. But it's also, remember that it's also a stage. It's high school and it's cliquey and it's all a stage. They block off so many streets in New York just to give it this robust feel. So when you're driving your car, you can't make the left turn. You got to go 4 blocks to make the left turn. So now all the cars are driving 4 extra blocks to make that left turn. And when you get down that block, you have to go 4 more blocks. So they keep it congested so that it gives off a thriving, bustling look. But it's really not like that. It's very empty, this city. They used to say years ago when I was a kid, it was 10 million people in New York. And then they made it all the way up to like 12, 13 million. I would argue that maybe we have 2. Maybe. So I hope I answered a little bit of your questions. Thanks for subbing. T. Rilla, you're just such a great day one. I haven't been to the city in a while. How's the club scene on nightlife nowadays? The club scene seems to be popping still. There's still not a black club scene after the Troy Ave situation with the Troy Ave and Taxstone, they haven't done any real concerts in New York for hip hop and things like that. Black people in clubs. Basically, the black men and black women are now in white clubs. That's what happened. The black woman and the black man said, you know what? I don't want to go to a place where people looking at me like they tough. So they all just keep looking for white things to do, and which is in New York is tons of rooftop parties. All these buildings are putting elevators that go straight to the roof, and on the roof you'll find a bar and you'll find lounge seating, and everyone is just Instagramming everything. So it's an Instagram world in this party situation. I mean, you still have Terminal 5. Terminal 5 is a place that you go to for venues. And Terminal 5 is doing a venue, once a week. It used to do venues twice to three times to four times a week, but at least once a week, they got something popping at Terminal 5. And that gives you more of a real people. These are the people in New York are going there. But the other clubs, you have, very high end where all the women are just like in Jimmy Choos and red bottoms, and then you don't have as many clubs as we used to have, because they're just all empty. That's just the reality. They're empty. They have to make these clubs are just empty. It's so sad what's going on. But as far as like depends on your crowd. Like Ulrich, he likes to go. He's a bar guy. He likes to go to bars. He likes bars. He likes pubs. He likes places where all the women are attractive, though. So he ends up being like the token black guy in that room, and he loves it. He starts dancing. He starts making out with a girl on one side of the room. Next thing you know, he's on the other side of the room kissing another girl, and he's jumping up and down like a jelly bean, just having a hell of a party. So if you're a black guy and you want to come to New York, be in shape and handsome, you're gonna do well in New York. And that's like, I'm talking about going to the bars and the pubs and all that kind of stuff. Good old Ulrich, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the dude is bugged out. It's hard to go out with Ulrich. He's a lot of energy. And I always worried about Ulrich, man. I be like, yo, I hope this guy's gonna be all right. But a lot of people don't know this. Ulrich used to be a boxer. Like, him and I have that in common. When I was a kid, I was boxing. And Ulrich too, when he was a kid, he was boxing. So he knows how to scrap. So, I worry about him, but I like to believe at least he can scrap, so he can, you know. But he's a wild guy. He knows how to have a good time. Let's put it this way, that way. Salute. Who is that? Throw Wow. Hi, Throw Wow. How are you? Are you subscribed? Have you pressed the thumbs up? We're just talking about Matt Walsh and reality and fluidity of the reality that we're in, and distractions, and New York City and its stage, and we were just talking about the club scene. What people need to understand about New York City is New York is a white town. It's a very, 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 very white city. It never used to, it wasn't always like that, because the whites in New York City used to be afraid to come out, and they would only go to like the Marquee on 10th Avenue, and they would do like not Chelsea. Yeah, they would do Chelsea, but not Chelsea. They would do because Chelsea was full of clubs, from the Tunnel to Esso's to all kind of stuff. But there were certain blocks that they would go to, and it would just be like lit, off the hook. The pubs would be popping. It would be great. Ninth Avenue. But they was afraid to like roam. Now it's different. New York is so safe that all the whites are coming out of their homes and they're like hitting any spot they want to, and they don't care. They don't care what anybody. They're not worried like the news is telling them about Brooklyn is so dangerous and the Bronx, and they're not. They don't care. They're everywhere, and they're out and they're eating and they're partying. And then you have just tokens of whatever Filipino. You have tokens of Korean. You have tokens of Black. You have tokens of Hispanics. You know, and then all the South Americans, they just sticking to themselves. They just they find their niche, and they're very quiet and very humble, not tough at all, and they work and they party and they do their thing. And New York though, New York is nuanced. I tell you that much. Yes, sir. I heard you before on Star Report. You and FBJ got dope ass commentary. Glad I can finally tap in. That's what's up, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we're the alum of Star, man. We're Stars, Star's our mentor. We're Star's our mentor. We want that objective perspective to be, knee jerk for us. We want it to be where our objectives our objective perspective will be like no other, and would not be marginalized, and it would not be broad stroked. It will be respected and sought after as concepts and ideas and all these kind of things. This is what the Star Report has shown us. It has shown us the way, and the way of hating to motivate, all the way to understanding and recognizing that we can have a voice, and credit will be given even when it's not needed. And that's something that is truly unique to the Star Report. Star will give everyone an opportunity to win. He's he speaks of self and the journey of self, and it's so interesting how his journey of self, he has helped along the way so many people, and the only ones that ever get hurt are the people that forget that it's his journey of self. Those are the only ones that fall. The Lady Shays and the you know I don't want to say too many names. I don't want to be judgmental on people's journey. People have their journey. There's many times I thought about stopping and walking away. So I can't judge anyone. But, Star is my mentor. And he is truly appreciated. And I've learned a lot. Do you think you will ever leave and move somewhere? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I do. I think I will leave. I think I will leave, see what's going on with my son's basketball career, you know, see if he got what it takes. He's 12, so we have 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Got some years, man. I'm going to be here. By 19, I'll know whether or not it's worth, sticking around. So about 7 more years minimum, I'm gonna be here to see if my son's, basketball career, if it's worth sticking around, or if his swimming career, because my son is a hell of an athlete and his swimming is amazing, and I think that he has the ability to compete as an Olympian in swimming, and he's extremely passionate about swimming. My son can do Olympic pool size laps. He can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 laps. Easy. And we can time him. He won't lose a second. He's doing the same exact stroke, the same exact breathing. The kid is a fish. And being that he's a lot. His mother is 6'4", I'm 6'2". So there's a good chance this kid is gonna be, between 6'4" and 6'9" as far as height. So yes, his passion is basketball right now. At 12 years old, he can't think of anything other than basketball. But I do like, you know, his potential for being an amazing swimmer. So, I'm going to see what's going on with his athleticism and his focus and his drive. If he's able to show me, then, I will stick around a little longer. But I'm basically thinking, like, 6 to 7 years, I'm going to figure out what's going on, and I might just, wifey and I might just get out of here. You know, I was thinking about South Dakota. I was thinking about Montana. I was thinking about, these places are freezing, freezing cold in the winter and all that. And then I was also thinking about Merida, Mexico. There's a guy named Cortez Ross. He has a YouTube channel called Live Abroad and Thrive. And I've been watching Cortez Ross since the internet first started. He was the guy who was trying to convince the world that they needed to start a t-shirt company. And he was explaining through a series of seminars how to start and open up a successful $1 million t-shirt business. So I watched this man as far as for entrepreneurial things for years, and he was really, really good. But now what he's doing is he had a website called Escape to Medellin, which I believe he sold that site to another YouTuber, or he sold that site to someone else. And he no longer is promoting Medellin. He's promoting Merida, Mexico. And he's the guy who you call up. You say, yo, this is how much I got. What could you do for me? And he's going to tell you where you can live, find you an apartment if you need one, to set up something with realtors, tells you how to get your paperwork as far as your visas and how long you can stay before you have to leave, and who do you need to talk to, and lawyers. And he teaches you everything about insurance and car insurance, because it's, in Mexico, if you get into a car accident, the the insurance company sends someone out right there on the spot of the accident, no matter what time of night it is. And if you guys are like yelling and screaming, no, he was wrong, no, he was wrong, I made the left turn, and then the cops get involved, and you can get arrested if you guys cannot come up to with an agreement. It's very, very unique. And but the insurance is like so low. It's like $200 a year, and you can get like the most premium package where they'll put you up in a hotel and give you a rental car and all kind of crazy cool things. And this guy Cortez Ross, he breaks down living abroad and thriving. And I would just put myself on a pension. Excuse me. Let me take a little. I would just put myself in a pension, and just have the pension just pay me out and pay all my bills, and just live a good life with less stress. You hear about Mexico, right? And the first thing you're thinking about is you're gonna get kidnapped. That's like the farthest thing from the truth. The places that get kidnapped. I remember there was a thing about Mexico City was like tons of kidnapping going on, but Mexico City was kidnapping its own kind for the most part. And where you had the dangers were in the borders, all the border cities that are surrounding the United States of America. But let me tell you something so interesting about Mexico, right? I wish I had like a little map I could just show you, like a tablet I could just show you. Well, if you look at Mexico City is in the middle of Mexico. It's smack dab in the middle of Mexico, right? And if let's say, I'll just use this as an example. This is Mexico, right? This is the United States of America, right? You got Florida over here, and Maine up here, and Canada up here, and California, Baja, and then you got Mexico. All right, this is Mexico, this big area. Mexico City's like right here, and you can drive all the way down that coast from the United States of America, like Florida, not Florida, but let's say Texas, and you can come down from Texas all the way to Mexico City. You can actually take your car and do that drive. What happened to you on your way to this drive, I'm not sure. I don't know all the facts on that, right? But Mexico City is kind of, like right here, not directly in the middle, right? So Mexico City is here, and Merida is like right there, a little bit more over. And what people don't know is that Mexico, this middle part of Mexico right here, is the only part of Mexico where people live. All this up here is mountainous regions like Afghanistan. All this area here. So you have a little bit of area here where you can kind of like have some kind of living, but not much. And you drive down Mexico, you turn, you go to Mexico City, you go to Merida, you go to all those little cities and towns all over here. And you move in this area here, Mexico, away from Mexico City. We're talking about 400-500 miles, 600-700 miles away from Mexico City. They have all these towns, and these towns are all high-end, technologically advanced towns where everyone has a cell phone and a tablet, and it's not like Hick City or anything like that. People have washer dryers, people driving, Porsches and all kind of stuff there. These are like regular people, but what's interesting is that it's like only the middle part of Mexico is inhabitable. The middle part of Mexico, I'm sorry I'm using this as an example. It just feels better, right? So this middle part of Mexico is where people live. All this area, the edges where the United States of America is, people do live there, but only because it's right next to the border of the United States of America. So now we have all this area here and all this here. It's like Afghanistan, mountainous, uninhabitable regions where if you put roads down, the roads are going to just pop right up the next year. Impossible to grow crops, and it's just deserted. Hundreds and hundreds of miles of the most roughest, toughest terrain you can ever even imagine is in Mexico. So, there's so much that we are unaware of. No one is teaching us this. No one is telling us that if you want to do a movie about Afghanistan, you don't got to go to Afghanistan. Go right there to Mexico and film your movie. And it's all these, I mean, we're talking about rugged, uninhabitable terrain. It's crazy. So I would consider moving to Merida. And in Merida, uh, me, my daughter, my son, my wife, the four of us living in Merida. Here in New York, it's costing us about $5,000 a month to live, minimum. $5,000 a month, and that includes food, gas, rent, cell phone. So we're doing it for about 500 a month, which is about $165 a day, something like that. $165 a day, something to that effect. 5,000 a month. If we move to Merida, we can drop that, living the same lifestyle. We can drop that to about 1,200 a month. So, and it's not a hick situation. It's not. It's not a hick situation. And it's very, very safe. A lot of these places you go to, you would think, oh my God, it's like cartels and people are gonna get shot. That's just propaganda. All you have to do is go to Cortez Ross, tell them Big Elvis the chef sent you, and it's live abroad and thrive. Let me see what we got here. I heard a lot of Americans are doing this, and this is causing the prices of everything to go up. People paying dirt cheap to live while working from home for an American company. Yes, that's 100% right. Yeah, it is changing a lot. That's why you have to be careful what part of Merida you go to, because there's a whole section in Merida that's like Soho, New York, where it's fashionable, and a lot of these people, they're coming from all around the world to move to Merida. But Merida, that's only like the south side. They're only in they're still east, north, and west side where the prices are regular. You want to go to a place where you're not going to find a Subways or Burger King. You don't want all that stuff. You want mom and pop, and those mom and pop spots, they're going to feed you. They got this guy goes to the butcher shop every day. They got one pig, and they kill and gut and cut up the one pig. Then they got the one cow, and they cut it. So it's all these little tiny butchers that only deal with, the 200 people that's in their area. And everything is fresh. Everything is, you know. But it's definitely worth giving it a try. Because here in the city, it's all about that green. It's all about that money. It's all about making money. Doing everything you can to make money. And then there's massive stress that you're not going to make enough. There's massive stress. Move this up. Okay. I can see it better. Lots of Americans are moving to. I think I read that. T. Riddler. Yeah, very true. Lots of Americans are moving there to live or retire, which is driving up the cost. If I move abroad, I want nothing to do with where other Americans are going. Yeah, yeah, but even though they might say it's not like what happened here with COVID, and everybody went to North Carolina, and it's just like all these black people in North Carolina, they're the gentrifiers now. They're gentrifying all these black neighborhoods. All these black retired people from New York City are going to the Carolinas and just making prices just go sky high, Whereas if you go to Merida, there's still, like I said, there's north, east, south, and west. And everyone is in the north that's coming from New York. So all you got to do is move to the east. You're never going to see them because they're never going to leave that area. So like I said before, go to Thrive, move abroad and thrive on YouTube. Cartez Ross, that's his name. He's one of the people who actually helped me learn how to budget, how to break down how much money I make and what money should go where. And I still use his method to this day. And it's really, really, really good. I'm sure it's somewhere on YouTube. I mean, the guy was on YouTube when YouTube first started. When I first started looking at YouTube, he's one of the first people that I saw. He was really good. Still is really good. You're not a capitalist like Star? Laugh a lot. Yeah, I am a capitalist, but enough is enough at some point. When what I'm gonna do, I don't. If I make enough money, man, where I can really retire, like in you know how much it costs to retire in New York? It's like $2 million from 65 to. Just think about 5,000 a month times 20 years. That's $1 million. You need $1 million minimum to retire. And what happens if you live past 85? What happens if you live past 85? Then you're going to need more money. You're going to be the guy in Walmart. Thank you for coming to Walmart. I think they got rid of that program too, Walmart. Yeah, New York, D.C., L.A., and San Francisco prices are insane. New York too, man. And I don't know why people buy this stuff. It's just ridiculous. The eggs are from where some a spot that we vacation every once in a while in the Berkshires. We go to the Berkshires, which is Massachusetts. And what happened in Massachusetts is all these liberals went to Massachusetts and just bought up all these like dilapidated homes and put mansions in there, but humble mansions. They're not mansions. They're like sustainable mansions. They almost look like log cabins to some degree, without all those white seams and without the logs. But it's like wooden. It's not. It's not. It's not a mansion, so to speak. Even though there is going to be a jacuzzi and the pool is out. These people are building $1 million homes on these spaces that they spend something like 60 grand on 4 acres. So you have all these little 4-acre, 5-acre properties, and they're all surrounded by all these little lakes. So it's lake this and lake that and lake this and lake that and all these like cool, amazing houses. It's just a shame what they had to do to get those houses, to get those people out of there. And what was I saying? So I go to wait, let me read that question again. Yeah, New York City, LA, San Francisco prices on it. All right. So what's so crazy is that they have this farm that is a chicken farm. It's been around for like 40 years. And I know the owner. Me and the owner, I don't even want to say the name of the farm, but me and the owner had a tiff because of me not wearing a mask. And the place right over here, they have their eggs and they have their milk from this farm. And I'm like, and I think the chicken is from this farm. So if you go into the store right here where we're living, only 1 block, 2 blocks away, and you get a quart of milk. The quart of milk is like $9. And if you get 12 eggs, it's like $13, $14. And they're trying to tell me, like, and you see all these people going, oh, I'm gonna get my eggs from blah blah blah. I don't want to say the name of the farm because I already said that me and the owner didn't have a good rapport, and I spent tons of money in this guy's farm, like, We try every single pie they make there. We buy all their pie, all their chips. And I actually no, I don't even have syrup from him anymore. I stopped buying his syrup. I was buying his syrup, and then I stopped buying his syrup, and I go directly to the guy who makes the syrup, where he takes the wood and they do all the burning every February. Um, so that's where I get my maple syrup. I get my maple syrup directly from the farm. But this is only because I might stay up there. And if I'm staying up there for the weekend, I'm gonna spend $400 on groceries. I'm gonna get the what's it called? I'm gonna get the chicken. I'm gonna get they even have biscuits, frozen biscuits that they make. Oh my God. Mind blowing how good these biscuits are. But I digress from that. I'm just saying that this place here has all their stuff over here from that farm, and they're charging an exuberant amount of money for all this stuff. So my thing is, like, who's driving that far to stock their store in Brooklyn? And like, how is that a good thing? How much gasoline did you use to go over there to get to this place? Like, you had to get a truck. You didn't go to this farm and just loaded up your trunk. No, you loaded, and then you must have. And let me tell you, I know this farm is not. This farm don't have trucks. I know that. This farm doesn't have trucks. I know this owner. You got to bring your ass over there. So you're gonna have a truck now. Now you got a truck. You're taking this truck and you're driving 300 miles, 700 miles back and forth to pick up eggs, to feed these people these eggs. Even though, don't get me wrong, the eggs are good. I do love the eggs, but I get my eggs from I don't even know. I don't know why I'm so uncomfortable even talking about this guy. I just don't want to promote drama. And look at me, I'm hard to forget. And it was over a mask. Mind you, he sat there and he talked to a young kid for like 20 minutes. He's talking to the young kid for 20 minutes, all about what's going on with him graduating and finally going to college. And they're having this great conversation. And I'm all over the store getting a bunch of things. And he's like, talking about don't come back to his store unless I got a mask on. I said, well, what happened with the young man you were just talking to? He didn't have a mask on. What was up with that? He said, I know him. I know his parents. I know his life. I don't know where you come. He said, oh, I know you're coming from. He said, I know you're coming from the city. And I was just like, oh, really? You think you know me? You think you know where I'm coming from? I was coming from the city, and he was right, but he was a jerk to me, though. He was, anyway. I was in a small city in Colombia, and it was frustrating to see how many Americans and Europeans had infiltrated the town. It was overwhelming. I believe you. Yeah, man. I heard Medellin, Colombia is 76 degrees, 300 days out of the year. Sounds glorious. Sounds glorious. So, me and wifey, we're thinking about it. We're thinking about, waiting to see what's going on with our children's, athletic careers and all that kind of stuff. And, and if things are looking mediocre, we're out of here. And they're gonna be adults, so they're gonna be able to do whatever they want. Like, Dad, we're not going over there. I ain't going over there. I'm like, all right. So, good luck. You have a trust. I'm going to bed, y'all. Appreciate you, and I love you, and I mean that. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Okay, but I'm tired.